Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Sullen Socialist. And I'm finding it necessary to make comment on this little spat between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, especially after her disgusting display, to be honest, at the debate last night. So I've made it very clear before. I am a fan of Bernie Sanders. I do support Bernie Sanders. I do not support Elizabeth Warren. I'm making that very clear from the outset. I'm not a fan of hers, and I have many, many reasons for it. But I'm also not a Bernie or bust. I would be somebody who would vote for another candidate, but based on policy. Not. It's not about personality. It's not about what he looks like, his colour of his skin, where he comes from, his nationality. Nothing to do with anything to do with that. It's policy. It is absolutely all about policy, and that doesn't mean to say that he's perfect and he has everything spot on, but he is, in my personal view, miles ahead of anybody else in the race. So my take on this little spat and what it's going to do for Warren, because it's pathetic that not only she would do something like this and put it out, especially coming into the debates, and Bernie has always been very, very fair. It's going to be very negative for her, and it's not going to work in the way that she thinks it's going to work in. And the fact that she didn't just knock it on the head straight away, come out and say, no, this isn't true, this isn't what happened. Now, the reason why I don't trust her on that, a lot of it is to do with her record. She has not been an honest actor throughout her career, apart from her originally being a Republican and then changing over to the Democrats and being very wishy-washy on policy. So she'll come out with a policy, she'll say something like, we'll keep it specifically to the current primaries and her run for presidency. Everything she's done basically is a copy. It's a rip-off of something that Bernie said. So she's just copying everything that he says, but it's all watered down. And whenever she's pushed on a particular issue, she backtracks on it. Or she'll stonewall, or she'll avoid. She'll do something not to elaborate more on what these things are. And when she does, it becomes quite clear that, well, maybe it's not exactly what she was trying to make it out to be, like her Medicare for All, which started out as a Bernie Medicare for All, and then it became maybe we'll implement it over a few years, and it's an optional if you want to buy in. And in other words, it's all a load of crap. She's got no idea what she's doing. She's just trying to con progressives into voting for her, and I don't think it's going to work. Now, coming back to what's happening with Bernie. Bernie has history on his side. More than any other candidate, he has history on his side. He has been fighting for women's rights. He's been fighting for workers' rights. He's been fighting against racism, bigotry, hatred, all these things. He's been fighting for this his entire career. This isn't something he just decided to do last week, last month, last year. I'm going to run for president now, so I'm going to come up with all these policies. No, this is stuff that he has been behind his entire career. He's never changed. He's never wavered, and he's been fighting for the same things over and over, year after year. And his voting record backs that up 100%. He's on video saying exactly the opposite of what Warren said he was supposed to have said. Now, is it possible that he said, I don't think a woman could win the presidency against Trump? Absolutely. Now, that is quite possible that he said that. Did he say that a woman could never be president? I don't believe that for 1 second. That's definitely not something that Bernie would do. The other thing that showed Warren's colours was when Bernie went to shake her hand and she snubbed him. Bernie, he doesn't trash anybody, which is often to his detriment, to be honest, because he never attacks. He plays defence, which is a much harder game to play, but in his defence, that also goes to show his character and his record, and he's always been the same. He will attack your policies, and he will go after your policies, but he plays the ball, he doesn't play the player, and that's the way that politics should be played. You don't attack people's characters. This is about the policies, and on the policies, he is well and truly ahead of everybody else. And when it comes to women's rights and equality for women and anything to do with reproductive rights and equal rights in the workplace, Bernie's always been there. He's always been on the side of women. So for Warren to try and do this attack, it just doesn't sound. Nothing about it is right. It seems to be a very dishonest attack. She should have, if it did come out of her office, condemn it straight away. She should have gone back on it straight away. She should have defended Bernie because he's always been out there. Now, whether or not he's actually defended Warren on anything specifically, I'm not sure. But he's never attacked her, and he doesn't attack anybody. That's not his style. And this whole thing that she's trying to say, it's just not Bernie. It's not his character. And he has, like I said, he's got history on his side. Throughout his entire career, he has history on his side. And this just makes her look petty, bitchy, vindictive, opportunistic, which to me that's what she is anyway. She always has been. She's like, if it was basically down to her and Trump, then there's a slight possibility that I might vote for her, but more likely I'd just stay at home. I wouldn't vote for either of them. I'd vote for a third-party candidate, or I'd ride in Bernie. Because to me, she's just another Hillary Clinton, or an Obama, even worse. Dishonest, really. She says one thing, she does another thing, and her record does not support anything that she claims. Her record is very much against her in everything that she does. Her voting record, she supports the war, she supports the military funding bills, all the bad things. She supports funding for Israel, everything. All the bad things that have been done, all the bad policies that come forward, she supports them. She's with the Democratic Party on pretty much everything. Now, Bernie also has been with the party on just about everything, but when it comes to things like war, military funding, he has been fighting against it his entire career. So when you look at voting rights, you look at morality, you look at integrity, you look at their ethics, you look at their history. When it comes to this, sorry Liz, but Bernie's got everything on his side here, and you're the one who's looking like you're being opportunistic and you're trying to score a few cheap points against somebody who's pretty much been in your corner all the time. And even when you went against him, and even when Liz went against him and voted for Hillary in 2016, he still never held that against her. He's still been stood beside her and helped her out when he needed to. So, so that's my take on this. It's very sad that it's happened now. Just coming up to the primaries, it's going to distract a little bit away from the important issues. And to me, the important issue isn't defeating Trump. I mean, that's part of it, but he's just a symptom. That's all. He's just a symptom of a bigger issue. It's the Medicare for all, education, jobs, Green New Deal. They're the kind of things that matter. They're the things that need to get through. They're the policies that need to be pushed and that need the agenda that needs to be promoted going forward. And that's why I support Bernie, and that's why I think he should win the primary and why he should win in November. And if the party got behind him, he'd have no problem whatsoever defeating Trump. He just needs to have the party get a little bit behind him. And that should be all he needs to win in November. There's going to be some issues getting through the first few primaries. We'll see what happens. But for Warren, yeah, to me, this ends her. I mean, I was never in her corner in the first place. I've always thought she was a false candidate. She's always had a very questionable line with her policies and her platform and what she wants to do. Nothing seems genuine with her, and this most definitely doesn't help. If anything, this is going to be the final torpedo in her boat that should sink her campaign. Let's see what happens. All right, speak to you all again soon.